Good morning and welcome to my second ramble of 2021. As you see, I've stayed inside today. I was going to be brave again because it's lovely and sunny out there, but my goodness me, it's so cold. So I thought, best place is here, in the warmth, with my dog by my side. I hope you've had a good week. As expected, we're all back in lockdown again. And although I know it's tough for people, I think it's probably the right decision, and I think if we can all stay away from each other for the next 2 or 3 months and they get the vaccine really well rolled out, that hopefully the late spring and the summer is going to look quite a lot different. Of course, we've had to suspend the choir in the meantime. I think it was the most prudent thing to do, as everyone else is staying away from each other. Just keeps us safe, and although I'm sure we're all going to miss choir for a while, we'll look forward with relish to when it returns again. So fingers crossed that won't be too long. But in the meantime, I hope that everyone keeps safe, and I'll try and keep you amused as we go along week by week. I'll still be coming to church on Sunday to play the organ, so maybe see some of you then. Anyway, how do you get on with Quickfire 5 last week? 1 or 2 people said to me, dare I say this, they thought it was rather easy. So this week's Quickfire 5 are going to be a bit harder. Shouldn't tell me things like that. Anyway, just quickly going back to last week, and here are the answers. No prizes, as I always say, just a bit of fun. But I'm sure quite a few of you probably will have got 5 out of 5 for this one. Let me know if you did. You can just boast a little bit. So the first question was, where is the traditional New Year's concert held? And the answer is in Vienna. It's always played by the Vienna Philharmonic Orchestra, and it's always held 11:15 in the morning from Vienna. I can't remember the proper name of the hall, but it's the hall where the Vienna Philharmonic are based. Question number 2, who wrote the Blue Danube Waltz? Well, that was a tough one, wasn't it? Johann Strauss the Younger. Very difficult. Question 3 was also a river question. Bedřich Smetana wrote about another famous European river. Well, the river was the Vltava. The English translation for that is the Moldau. But the Vltava, which goes through Czechoslovakia, and it is part of the symphonic poem Ma Vlast. Lovely. If you don't know that, well worth listening to. Wonderful, wonderful piece. Question 4 was, who wrote a piece called The Sea? And I dropped in translation. I was thinking of La Mer, and of course the answer is Debussy. And finally, this one might have caught you out, I don't know. For whom were the firework music written, and where were they first performed in 1749? Well, the answer is, technically, it was written for George II, King George II, to celebrate the end of the War of Austrian Succession. And it was first performed in Green Park in 1749. So that's the answer to that one. So, see if you got 5. Well done. I'm just looking out here because my son has turned up and I'm trying to tell him to go away. Right, so, you might have just seen him in the background there. So, to this week's slightly harder Quickfire 5. The first question is this. Which composer wrote an oratorio which includes choruses about swarms of insects, fire and hail, and an aria about frogs and diseased cattle? Nice subject, eh? Who was the composer that wrote that oratorio? Very well known. Secondly, and we've sung 1 or 2 at the church, we've sung 1 or 2 little Mozart mass settings. Which of the following mass settings is not by Mozart? I'm going to give you 4. Which one of these is not by Mozart? So there's the Sparrow Mass, there's the Coronation Mass, there's the Nelson Mass, and there's the Credo Mass, amongst others. Which one of those wasn't written by Mozart? Question 3 is a tough one for you literary people. Which German poet wrote the text used for Beethoven's 9th Symphony? I know all my questions are supposed to be musical and that's more poetic, but which German poet? Question number 4, easy one. If you love this piece, which I do, it's another one I ought to recommend at some point. Who wrote Belshazzar's Feast? Fantastic 20th century work. And finally, and some of you have sung this piece before, so you'll probably know the answer to this. In what language did Bernstein write his Chichester Psalms? In which language did he write them? Okay, that's your 5 for this week. Bit tougher. If you get 5, I'll be very, very impressed. So, as always, www.swanageteam.com will get you onto the online services for this week. I think I'm right in saying that there's only going to be live services, live as in people actually there in St Mary's this week, but otherwise you can join us online and join in with some singing. So maybe see you there. So my recommendation for music this week is just a piece. It's not the most wonderful piece in the world, but it's a fascinating piece by a very fascinating composer, and it's one that I always love singing and directing. It's another Epiphany piece while we're in Epiphany. And it's by the 18th century composer William Crotch. Don't know whether you've heard of William Crotch. He was a really fascinating character. He was born in Norwich, and like Mozart, he showed really amazing musical talent. He was a real prodigy. He was performing, he could play the piano really well by the age of 2. And when he was 3, there's a very famous story about him being taken by his mother to London, and he played on the organ at the Chapel Royal, and he also played to King George III. He learnt how to play God Save the King. But by that time, in fact, he was able to play in any key, and he could play God Save the King in any key. And you could give him any chords and he could tell you all the notes. I mean, he was really quite a genius. And there's a wonderful report which I've got here, which I was just going to read out, about him in a London magazine in 1779, which talks about him. And it says, he appears to be fondest of solemn tunes and church music, particularly the 104th Psalm. As soon as he's finished a regular tune or part of a tune, he stops and then behaves like a little boy. Then people have to induce him to play again with a cake or an apple or an orange. So, child prodigy, but also little boy too. But his musical career continued in amazing fashion. He was appointed organist of Christ Church, Oxford, at the age of 15. I mean, that's extraordinary. He went on to be Professor of Music at Oxford, and then he was appointed the first principal of the Royal Academy of Music, where he stayed for about 10 years. So really distinguished educator, and he also composed. He didn't compose an enormous amount, but he composed an oratorio called Palestine, and the anthem that I'm going to talk to you about is a chorus from Palestine. It's the only piece of his really which has stood the test of time. But there's an interesting story behind Palestine as well, because Crotch refused to have it published. Although it was quite popular, he refused to have it published. Rather, he would charge choirs and orchestras, he would charge them 200 guineas to hire the parts, and as part of the deal he'd come along and conduct it. And he got lots of take-up for this, and it was a great idea, and it sort of, helped him a lot financially during his life. But of course, it wasn't much good after he died, and it was never published. But this particular chorus was, and it's called Lo Starled Chiefs. And it's just very pretty. That's all I want to say about it, really. Rather tuneful, not very hard. Lovely to sing, lovely to listen to. So I'm pointing you to a performance by Lichfield Cathedral Choir from a number of years ago, but it's got the score with it as well, so you can listen to it and you can follow it too. So quite a fun, interesting composer, and a lovely piece. If you don't know it, just enjoy it. Okay, good. So you're ready to do a bit of singing? I am going to do my usual and move about 2 foot that way, and we'll do some singing. See you in a moment. Here we are then, and I hope you're ready to sing. Just let me remind you about your posture. If you're sitting up nice and straight back, nice and relaxed, feet probably on the floor. If you're standing, make sure your knees are not locked. just nicely balanced, chest open so that you can breathe well. Just take a couple of deep breaths to make sure your shoulders don't go up. Like that. Excellent, okay. Now I want you to take a breath in, and then I want you to sigh out like this, just going, ah. Okay, can you do that? Ah. And now do a slightly higher sigh, and just sort of keep connecting the voice all the way down, going, ah. Okay, and one more, we go even lower at the end. I can get quite low in my boots today. Good, good. You do that a few times just to get the voice warmed up. Now, how about, let's start in C major. Let's just do two vowels, just E and R. We'll just go down the scale going like this. E, I, 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 E, I. You try that. E, I, 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 E, I. Just make sure that R, the jaw drops. E, I, 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 E, I. E, I, 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 E, I. E, I, 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 E, I. One more. E, I, 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 E, I. Good, keep that nice and legato, and as I said, just let the jaw drop on the R each time, okay? And now, how about this one? We're going to go up a triad, up to the top, and we're going to start on ooh, and then on the way down we're going to sing ooh, I can sing. So we're going to do it like this. Ooh, I can sing. I'll do that again for you. Ooh, I can sing. Okay, off you go. Ooh, I can sing. 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 It's a bit high for me there. And on that I, it's really an R vowel, and there's just a little diphthong at the end, okay? But just try and connect it and make it nice and legato, all right? And I was just thinking, do you remember we did that silly fish and chips one? I'm going to have another go, 2021, see if I can do it better than last time. I bet if Lily Fawcett's watching this, she can do it. So we just go. Fish and chips, 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 fish and chips. Fish and chips, 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 fish and chips. Fish and chips, 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 fish and chips. Oh, I nearly did it. I nearly did it. I'm going to stop there while I'm ahead or behind. Never mind. I hope that was quite fun. I hope that got you going. So as I say, hopefully see you before not too long. But in the meantime, stay healthy, stay safe, and have fun.